Today we're going to be learning about box plots. So make sure that you have your box plot note sheet, and then you can record everything from this video onto that note sheet. So to start, a box plot is going to be a graph, and it's going to summarize data along a number line. So every time you're going to need to make a number line, just like when you made a dot plot. So you'll have a number line, and then you're going to have 5 marks that will help us create the box. The first the first line on the box to make the first mark that will make the box is called the minimum. And if you want, you can write that along the side, going up and down. I just have a hard time writing sideways. The next hash mark, the second one, is going to be called the lower quartile. And that's also known as Q1 or LQ, lower quartile or quartile 1. Either one of those will work. The third line is going to be called the median, just like we talked about the median the other day. Median is the middle. Our fourth marking is going to be called the upper quartile. An upper quartile can be abbreviated as UQ or quartile 3, Q3. And then our fifth marking, our final one, is going to be called the maximum. And notice this is split up into 4 sections. We have our first section, our second section, our third, and our fourth. So having 4 sections, that's kind of like a quarter. There's 4 quarters that make a dollar. So in this graph, there's 4 sections that make up the whole thing. And if we think of it as a quarter, a fourth of the data is going to be in this first section. A fourth of the data is in the second section. A fourth is in the third. And the final fourth is in that last section. So 25% of the data, 25% of the data is in each section. One last thing I want to mention is notice this box here. The box is called, I'm going to write it up here so I have more room. It's called the interquartile range. And that's abbreviated as IQ. Interquartile, not IQ, I'm sorry. IQR, interquartile range. That means the interquartile range, because each section is 25% and the interquartile range is 2 sections, that means the interquartile range is the 50% of the data. All right, so now we're going to start actually creating a box plot. And to create a box plot, the first step is to take your set of data, your numbers, and put them from least to greatest. So this is similar to when we were talking about mean, median, mode, and range. You had to have them in order. So I'm going to put these in order. 2 is my smallest number. And remember to cross them off as you use them. 4, 6, 10, 12, 15, 17, 19, and 25. All right, so once they're in order, we are going to find the median first, and the median is that middle number. So we are going to find the median just like we did the other day with mean, median, mode, range. You cross off one at the beginning, one at the end. One at the beginning, one at the end. So each one should have a pair. And then I'm left with one in the middle. So my middle number for this case, median, is 12. My minimum is my smallest number. So in this case, the smallest number is 2. Maximum is the largest number, and my largest number is 25. Once you have those 3 sets of data, what you're going to do is you're going to find the lower quartile range. To find the lower quartile range, we're going to take the bottom half. So here's the bottom half. We go from the median down, not including the median. So we're just going to include 2, 4, 6, and 10. And we're going to find the middle of those numbers. So I'm going to do the same thing as I was doing before, cross one off, and I'm left with 2. And if you remember from the other day, when you're left with 2, you're going to add them together. So 4 plus 6, and 4 plus 6 is 10. And then we have to divide by 2. So 10 divided by 2, we're finding the average, is 5. It's like the middle. Once you've done that for the first set of numbers, you're going to do that for the second half of the numbers. So I'm going to go to my second half, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start and cross off one from the beginning, one from the end. And again, I'm left with 2 numbers. Sometimes you'll be left with 1 number, like we had the 12, that was 1 number. If that's the case, then that's just your final answer. If you're left with 2, we have to add and divide by 2. So this time we're going to add 17 plus 19, which gives us 36. And then we have to divide by 2. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Once we have all 5 points, we're going to go ahead and graph it. So notice I have a number line here. After you have the number line, you're going to just put little hash marks at each of these numbers. So I'm going to have one at 2, 5, 12, 18, and 25. So if you notice from that first image at the very top of your note sheet, these outside 2 are connected. These outside 2 are also connected. And then the middle 3 make a box. And once you have that, you are done. All right, here is one more practice problem that we're going to do together, and then you can go ahead and do the second 2 on your own. So notice these numbers are already in order. What you're going to do is list your minimum, your smallest number, that's 1. Your largest number is 15. And now we want to find the middle number, so I'm just going to put little marks below, one at the beginning, one at the end. Continue this pattern until we find the middle number. And notice I'm left with 7. And always circle that middle number. And if there's 2, just draw a line in between. So I am going to write 7 as my median. And then remember from before, what you're going to do is you're going to do the bottom half, find the middle of the bottom half to get your lower quartile, and then find the middle of the upper half to get your upper quartile. So I'm going to go ahead and cross off 1 and 7, which means I'm left with 3 and 5. You can add these 2 together. 3 plus 5 is 8, and divide by 2. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. And notice, if you can recognize it, our two numbers are 3 and 5, so the number in between 3 and 5 is 4. Now we're going to do the top half. Cross off 9 and 15, and I'm left with 10 and 12. And if you think, the number between 10 and 12 is 11. And if you forget that, go ahead and add them. 10 plus 12 is 22, divided by 2 gives me 11. Now I need to graph it, so I'm going to put a mark at 1, 4, 7, 11, and 15. And remember, I connect the middle 3 to make a box. And then my outside 2 are just whiskers. You may have heard this called box and whisker plot. It's also called box plot because it makes a box. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause this and let you try the next two. All right, so you should have done example 2 on the back side of your worksheet, and I will go through the answers here. Make sure you put these in order from least to greatest. Okay, so notice before I said, I'm going to erase this. I said that you needed to draw a line if there were 2 in between, and we need to do that because when we go to find the lower quartile range, we need to use all 4 of these numbers. So I'm going to cross off to get to the middle, and now I'm left with 3 and 3. Well, that tells me that the lower quartile is 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the upper. So I'm going to cross off, and I'm left with 2 of these. So if you don't want to box it, that's actually a better habit to get into. Draw your line between. What's between 6 and 8? That would be 7. So I'm going to mark these quick. And there we go. Now go ahead and pause the video and try number 3. All right, you should have put these in order: 9, 13, 14, 16, 18, 19, and 20. Your minimum should be 9, maximum 20. Now you need to find the middle. Cross them off to find the middle. My middle this time is 16. Now I need to find the middle of the bottom, 13, and the middle of the top, 19. And then go ahead and graph those at 9, 13, 16, 19, and 20. Middle 3, connect to make a box, and then add your whiskers on the outside.